There is a moment, and maybe you know it, where you look at your bank account and your Bitcoin wallet and you realize you're still planning your whole life like you're in your early 20s. And that mistake, that quiet, invisible mistake, is the one I want to sit with you in today. Welcome back to Crypto 101 Central. I'm Leo. Because the version of me who first found Bitcoin is not the version of me sitting here now, and the plan that got me here is not the plan that's going to get me where I still need to go. So stay with me, because I'm going to walk you through every single stage of life, from your early career all the way to the golden years of retirement, and I want you to see yourself somewhere in this story. Before we go further, if this perspective resonates with you even a little, subscribe to Crypto 101 Central right now and tap that bell so you stay fully informed as we explore these long-term strategies. So let's go back to your 20s, that wild, uncarved stretch of time where nobody depends on you yet, where the weight of the world hasn't fully settled onto your shoulders. This is raw, unrepeatable freedom. Most people spend this season on things that vanish, but if you're strategic, you use this window to build high-value skills that scale your income for decades. Securing a significant raise early in your career doesn't just increase your immediate cash flow. It elevates your baseline earning power every year for the rest of your working life. That is a massive lever. When you live below your means during this stage, you free up discretionary income and allocate it towards strong assets like Bitcoin to help build your future foundation. Allocating capital early gives it significantly more runway to compound compared to starting a decade later. In my early years, I cut overhead to the absolute minimum, lived with roommates, and directed my savings into tax-advantaged vehicles, like a self-directed Roth IRA to maintain control of my own private keys. Tax-free growth offers substantial long-term benefits, though funds are locked until retirement age, making it equally prudent to hold a portion of your Bitcoin outside formal retirement accounts for liquid flexibility. In your 20s, avoiding high-interest consumer debt, minimizing unnecessary recurring expenses, and prioritizing skill acquisition forms the fundamental baseline. Then your 30s arrive, and everything shifts underneath you as responsibilities grow. People start depending on you, a mortgage, family expenses, and childcare bills that seem to multiply overnight. Suddenly, managing cash flow requires more care, and maintaining a balanced approach to risk becomes paramount. When my wife and I were expecting our first child, the desire to purchase a home became a priority. What I learned through that process is that financial institutions often approve home loans for significantly larger amounts than what is comfortable to carry. Choosing a more conservative mortgage leaves breathing room to continue investing in Bitcoin rather than overextending on monthly housing costs. Similarly, putting a smaller initial down payment on a home to keep liquidity compounding in long-term growth assets can be a valid strategic trade-off, depending on individual risk tolerance. For those with children, this stage is ideal for setting aside dedicated capital, such as a separate self-custodial wallet, to provide them with long-term flexibility, whether for education, starting a business, or choosing their own path. At the same time, high earners should carefully evaluate their account structures. Taking advantage of employer matches makes practical sense, but over-concentrating in locked retirement accounts can limit strategic flexibility. Implementing core risk management, such as term life insurance, establishing a formal estate plan with named guardians, and ensuring your spouse can securely access multi-signature key recovery procedures, becomes essential during this decade. If this deep dive into generational planning is providing value, take a moment to hit that like button. It genuinely helps share these strategies with others navigating similar financial decisions. By your 40s, your primary income often reaches its peak, but tax complexity quietly expands alongside it. Stacking significant capital inside traditional tax-deferred accounts eventually leads to mandatory distributions in your 70s, which can push you into elevated tax brackets later in life. Planning for long-term tax efficiency early helps mitigate this structural burden. This is also a season where conservative debt strategies or equity lines can be evaluated as tools to accelerate wealth, provided they align with your personal risk tolerance and peace of mind. If leverage creates unnecessary stress, maintaining a fully funded, cash-based approach is completely valid. Crucially, as your portfolio grows into multi-figure or seven-figure territory, upgrading your security architecture, spreading backups and eliminating single points of failure, is vital to protecting decades of effort. A key element often overlooked in early retirement planning, say, transitioning away from full-time work in your mid-40s, is the multi-year gap before traditional retirement accounts become accessible without penalties. Bridging this window requires advanced planning through strategies like Roth conversion ladders or structured early withdrawal rules well before taking that step. Furthermore, the period immediately following early retirement, before mandatory distributions and traditional pensions or Social Security begin, often presents a unique window where personal income drops to a low baseline. Leveraging this window allows for highly efficient capital moves and reduced overall tax exposure. Transitioning from decades of accumulation into retirement presents a deep psychological shift. Turning a long-held stack into an ongoing income stream requires a change in mindset, accepting that wealth is ultimately built to support your life and legacy. Consider an early retirement scenario with a portfolio distributed across traditional tax-deferred accounts, Roth accounts, and taxable Bitcoin, designed to support a stable annual living expense. Drawing down taxable Bitcoin strategically means only capital gains are realized, often landing in lower capital gains tiers depending on deductions. Alternatively, selective borrowing against assets can provide cash flow while allowing the underlying portfolio to remain intact. To guard against severe market downturns early in retirement, maintaining a solid cash buffer of a year to 18 months of living expenses prevents forced liquidation during broader market drawdowns. Rather than relying on rigid withdrawal rules, testing your plan against dynamic market cycles ensures long-term portfolio resilience. Financial spending also follows a natural arc over time, often rising early in retirement during active travel years, moderating during a calmer middle phase, and rising again later in life to cover healthcare and wellness needs. When evaluating traditional benefit programs, taking benefits earlier may allow your underlying Bitcoin holdings to remain untouched and compounding over time. Finally, the ultimate stage of wealth planning is generational and societal legacy. Watching your accumulated efforts support major milestones for your children or funding charitable initiatives through donor-advised funds allows your work to extend far beyond your lifetime. Updating your estate plan, moving from a simple public will to a private trust structure, ensures your family's privacy and a seamless transfer of assets. Ultimately, long-term financial planning isn't just about accumulating assets. It's about giving yourself the freedom to build, protect, and meaningfully enjoy what you have created. Drop a comment below with where you currently stand in your financial journey. I look forward to reading your perspectives. Thank you for watching, stay disciplined, and I will see you in the next video.